What's going on, everybody? This is your man, Couch Coach of the Couch Coach Live podcast. We have a special guest join us momentarily for our Couch Coach Live happy hour. None other than our guy, friend of the program, of the podcast, Chris LeBron of the Off the Ball podcast. He'll be joining us momentarily. Definitely huge shout out to everybody who has supported the podcast from Zenith, from the beginning, from the jump. Definitely huge shout out to everybody who's been following the movement, hitting us up, giving us positive feedback, following us, just overall just supporting us, man. We definitely appreciate that, and we definitely have another great podcast lined up for you here, and we'll have that podcast will be out next week on Wednesday morning, so we'll definitely get that all squared away. So let's get Chris in here. Let's see, we're gonna get him in here. There we got Chris joining us right here. Let's see what we got. What's going on, man?
What's going on, man? Can you hear me good?
I hear you good, man. How you doing, man? How you been?
I'm good, man. How's everything with you?
Everything good, man. I see you out here grinding, man. I see you grinding.
I'm trying, man.
Hey.
Busy week this week, man. And I got
I feel you, man.
Yeah, man. You know the grind.
Yeah, man.
You know how it is, man.
Yeah, man. Enjoy the ride, man. That's all I say. Enjoy the ride, man.
Yeah, man, for sure,
Yeah,
man.
absolutely, man. So, man, how's everything going, man?
I'm in New York City, so obviously
Oh yeah.
it's been a little crazy over here, but it's getting better little by little. Luckily the weather's getting a little nice, so that's at least a little positive. When I do get to go outside and stuff. So just going day by day. That's all you can do.
No doubt. And of course, we joined by our man Chris LeBron of the Off the Ball podcast.
Yeah.
So of course, this man is nothing. He's the New York City down. So first thing I want to ask him is, we know he's a Giants and a Knicks fan. So we'll get to the Knicks at the bottom. We're gonna go heavy with the Knicks. So let's talk about your Giants. I know the schedule was just released the other day, and then also we can talk about the draft, your thoughts on the draft, and also on this the schedule that was released last week. Just your thoughts.
It's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough, man. I like the moves they made. I definitely think they improved the team, but to say I'm optimistic is, I don't know. I just don't know. It's all, it's a division where anyone can really win it, but I wouldn't put my money on the Giants winning it this season because I just think there's so many holes on defense that they took care of the offensive line, which I'm really happy that. So offensively, we should be really solid. We should be an above average offense. Especially if Daniel Jones takes the next step. But the defense, and what just happened with DeAndre Baker doing whatever the craziness he did. So that's another guy, and he struggled last year too. I mean, he came on a little at the end, but still had a lot of ups and downs, and which happens with most corners. But he had a lot of downs, and this is not a good start to this, for the next season. And we just got a lot of holes. We got a lot of holes defensively. We don't have a true pass rusher. Got a lot of young guys with Carter and Ojimene, who we took last year. We still, the middle of the defense is solid with Dexter Lawrence and Tomlinson. But, linebackers are still, iffy. We got Blake Martinez from the Packers. He's solid, but, he's an upgrade over what we had, but that doesn't say much because we didn't have much. So and the secondary, we got some, we took the kid from Alabama, McKinley. That was a good pick. I'm happy with that. So pair him up with I forgot the kid we got from the Browns last year. And it's a work in progress defense. It's going to take a few more years to get the defense where we want to. But I don't know. I'm just not optimistic. I think it's better. I think we'll be better than last year, but that's not saying much. Like 6 wins, six wins. I say 6, 7 wins. That's what I'm seeing right now.
Not bad. And yeah, I do. It's funny. I think the Giants are kind of like one of the like a sneaky kind of teams where a part of me is like, and I think we talked about this before. I talked about the acquisition of Jason Garrett as the OC. I really love that. Like that was probably one of the best moves of the offseason as far as from a coaching, from that perspective.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Any games stick out to you in the on the schedule? Any like games? Well, of course, obviously the Cleveland matchup, but any other ones that you like want to circle? You can circle the calendar.
I'm scared of that game because I think Odell, if he's ever gonna, I mean, he's had a lot of great games, especially as a Giant.
Yeah.
He's coming back. You know he's mad. If Baker's clicking with him, we have no corners that can stop him. I know we picked up the dude from Carolina. I can't even think of his name, but he's solid. But if OBJ on his best day will cook him. So that's a game. The Tampa Bay game, that's another game with Tom Brady. I'm looking at, and I'm always looking forward to divisional games. Going against the Cowboys, going against the Eagles and the Redskins, those are always fun matches. But the Browns game, man, I think he's gonna go off on us. So that could be a bad game. That could be a tough game for us.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, that's gonna be a very ominous and weird kind of game, but that's gonna be interesting. So
Sure,
now we can start getting to a little cooking with the Knicks talk. So of course, the biggest sporting event, of course, at this point is the Last Dance documentary.
Yeah.
And with you being a Knicks fan, just your thoughts on, essentially from your perspective, this whole documentary. Just your thoughts and just the emotions that came with it.
As looking at it as a Knicks fan.
Yeah.
You know what? I know people a lot say like, oh, this is bad for Knicks fans, but I look at it this way. We gave them, the Bulls, the toughest challenge in the East. Especially when Jordan was out, we beat him. And it took a lot, we beat him when Jordan wasn't there, And then when Jordan was there, we just gave him battles and battles and battles. It was not going to be easy coming out of the East. They always got out of the East, the Bulls, but it was not going to be easy. But, it just shows that, those are good times as a Knicks fan. Even though we couldn't conquer Jordan, we still made the playoffs throughout the whole 90s. So, and not a lot of teams can say that. If any team can say that we made the playoffs every single year in the 90s. So, yeah, we had our downfalls. We didn't win in 94. We didn't win in the lockout season 99. But, and we didn't beat Jordan, but nobody beat Jordan. So, it's not, people like to hit me up, oh, you didn't beat the Bulls. I was like, nobody beat the Bulls. He lost 1 year to Orlando, and that's when he just came back, and he wasn't Jordan yet. And then guess what? Next year he sweeps him. So, once he won that first chip, he didn't lose pretty much, until Orlando. And then that was like, okay, time to get back. And he was back. So, it just shows like the good times for us being a Knicks fan, because it hasn't been smooth especially since the finals against the Spurs. So, it just shows that, we had some good teams. Pat was doing his thing, and he didn't have a lot of help. He had a lot of Anthony Mason, a lot of dogs, Oakley and Charles Smith and Starks, and some of those guys. But he never had a true number two to really help him get over that hump. Ewing in the Knicks. So, but the doc, the doc itself has been tremendous too. But it's actually, to me, showed the good life for the Knicks. I don't think it's not. I would feel more bad if I was a Utah fan to those moments where they could have with MVPs. Malone was an MVP. Talk to Charles Barkley and the Suns, he was an MVP. I feel more bad if I was them, not essentially the Knicks. I'm actually happy seeing this because it's like, all right, the good times. This is the good times, and it makes me feel good because it hasn't been a lot of good times as a Knicks fan.
Yeah, and it's funny as a Bulls fan, and it's funny to think when you sit down and you think about it. After the '93 season, you guys go to the NBA Finals. You play Houston, and then the lockout shortened season, you guys went to the NBA Finals against San Antonio. And it's funny as it sounds, but like you're right in a sense where that's really like the last time like the Knicks and the Bulls were in essence relevant in that, in as far as making deep runs in the playoffs. I mean,
Yeah,
obviously the Knicks and the Bulls have been in the playoffs, since then, but of course not to the extent they would, at this point.
yeah,
But yeah, man, it's interesting, and it's gonna be so weird, like Sunday, the finale of it, and
yeah,
how it's
man.
gonna end, and how both are gonna intersect. You know how I always say the story from the left into the story to the right, how it's gonna merge.
Yeah.
So yeah, man.
It's I'm sad it's gonna be over, but and it's crazy because we all know how it ends. It just
Yeah.
they just disband the team, and I just keep thinking about you win three in a row, and then you essentially just say, nah, we're good. Let's just end it. Like, really? They legit could have had a chance to win. Fourth. Definitely, they probably win the next season, and maybe another one. They go against the Lakers and Kobe and Shaq. I mean, that might be freaking. That's box
Right.
office right there. Chicago versus LA. Kobe
Right.
versus Jordan in the NBA Finals.
Finals.
Tell me that we missed. Oh, Jerry
Oh man.
Krause. We missed it. That could have been because no disrespect to Indiana that year, but the Bulls probably take them that series, and we just missed out on the potential to see that, and how epic that would have been, if they kept everything together for another two, because they should have kept it for another at least 2 more years, because like I said, I think they win it the year after, and then if they go back at it for another year to go against the Lake, I just thought about that, and it just irks me that we could have got something like that, and that would have been Kobe versus Jordan in the finals. That would have been
Yeah.
so much fun to watch.
Epic. Epic. And
Yeah,
what's funny about it all is because it was a lockout. It was a shortened season,
yeah.
so that would have been perfect for them
That
to
would have
come back
benefited them. Yeah,
in that type of circumstance. Yeah, as far as they were able to get the rest and what have you.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
definitely huge shout out to our guy Jeff from Jeff Needs Help podcast. What's
Yeah, I
going
just
on,
had
man?
him on. I just had him on my podcast a couple days ago.
Yeah,
That's my guy right there.
yeah. I was on the
Yeah, you on the show?
pregame
Yeah,
show.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
I know.
yeah,
Yeah, it was fun, man. I was
yeah,
like, yeah,
yeah,
it was
yeah. He's
cool.
fun. He's a cool dude.
Yes, indeed. So, are we gonna have an NBA season?
Man, it's tough, man. I mean, I look at it this way. I mean, each team has what you got 15 players, and you got coaching staff is maybe up to I don't know, maybe six, 7 coaches, and you got trainers, you got ball boys, you got all these guys. That's up to maybe 40 people. 40 people on a team, and is that going to be something that people are going to be comfortable with? Especially dealing with guys going 100% on the court and sweating it out. Are players going to be comfortable with our free agents, pending free agents, going to be comfortable with it? Because they're at risk with a lot because the money might not be there. So if you risk getting sick or anything, that could hurt your money. Getting hurt, that could really cost you a lot, especially now. The only one I could see that's definitely going to get his money is AD. Because he's just a tremendous
Yeah.
player. He's a top 5 player, so he's going to get his money. But I'm talking about everyone else. So we might not see those guys those fringe players that somehow get 75 million dollars, and you're like, what's going on? But so it's going to come down to the players and those top players talking to the other players and being like, are we going to be comfortable playing with each other and seeing the outcome, as for a champion, because this is an unprecedented season, it's nothing like this has ever gone on.
Yeah.
We could talk about the lockout, but that had nothing to do with a virus. That was just players and owners going at it, trying to figure out money. This is a virus. We saw guys, Rudy Gobert and Donovan Mitchell and some of the Nets players, Kevin Durant, get coronavirus. And this virus is not like the virus is away. It still happened. So you run that risk. What if game 1 and then you test people, someone gets hit with corona? What happens now? You're gonna stop the season again? So there's just so many variables. I mean, we all want to see hoops back. That's it's obviously we want to see ball back so bad, but also got to make sure everything you take the right precautions and everyone's health is good, and I mean that's the most important thing to people is the players, officials, coaches, head coach. Everyone's health is the most important thing, and so they got to figure out that's the biggest thing. If they could somehow figure it all out, then we can go. But it's just a big question. Day by day, everything changes. So we got to see.
Yeah, and that's one thing too, where I looked at it from the situation. I think I touched on this a little bit on the podcast this week. The thing I think my biggest thing is they're trying to create what they call a bubble, and I'm thinking to myself, you're not going to be able to create the bubble that you insist, because you like first of all, the people that's working in these hotels, they have to go home and they have to go about their lives. I mean, they got to go there with their family. They have to go to the grocery stores or have to go and live their life, and so you can't bubble them in. And to me, I'm like this. The NBA got lucky on March the 11th. Essentially, they were able to kind of put a kibosh on it because, of course, Rudy Gobert, had it. And then just imagine if that test didn't come back in time. Donovan Mitchell's on that floor. Who's to say that Donovan Mitchell could have got everybody from Utah sick, Thunder, and what if these guys were like breathing in the front row, and it could have festered and just went up, here and there. It's like
travels and it goes in the air and it travels. So yeah, that's scary.
And and the biggest thing with me was one of the points I really wanted to talk about with that is just like you got it right the first time. You don't want to get yourself caught up in this situation again.
Yeah, exactly.
And then my thing is they're like, well, we're not going to test people who are asymptomatic. You have to. You got to test everybody.
You got to test everyone. Doesn't matter.
Because like you did, like what you did in that Thunder game. Essentially, you quarantine the Jazz players for hours.
Yeah.
In that locker room in OKC. So it's like you have to do that, and that's one thing where it was even weird that whole week where they were like, well, we're gonna get rid of like media members, but I'm like, y'all are more, and that's funny, and it's funny how I prefaced it. Even that was, I think I did that podcast, I think like 2 or 3 days before the season canceled. They're more conducive to the virus than the reporters.
Exactly.
Because I'm like, that's not going to solve it. Now you said that. Even then, I was like, well, it's not going to solve it because the players essentially they're the ones who are on the court. They're pretty much not skin on skin contact, but more so. I mean, essentially, it's more of a contact sport.
Yeah,
it's a contact sport. So it's one of the things where it's like I looked at it, it was like, yeah, they got lucky. I say, don't come back because then they're saying, well, they were talking about the playoffs, and I'm like, well, you don't have to start from the playoffs at this point because you can't have a regular season.
Regular season shot. Regular season shot.
And then the facilities, like the teams, and I hate to say this, but the teams who are in essence are irrelevant, they're the ones who open their facilities, like Cleveland. Like, no offense, but the Cavs not going nowhere. And I understand you do want to keep. I think that's just a state thing, but. Y'all like, that's one of the biggest news. The Cavs opened up their practice facility. They're not gonna play this year anyway.
It don't matter. Yeah, the Cavs are irrelevant in this.
Right.
So,
unfortunately, and then I think even the ninth seeded teams in both conferences, they're like 3 to 5 games out. So it's like, what's the point of putting them on the road for what they say? Like they were saying about 2 or 3 weeks to play the regular season. They're not gonna be able to make up ground in that short period of time. It's a wrap.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's like I said, it is crazy. It's just, and people try to get on the commissioners and stuff. This is something they haven't. No one prepares for this. This isn't in the handbook that says, all right, this is how we handle an epidemic. That you don't plan for epidemics to happen like this, especially during the playoff stretch. You don't plan for this. You don't know how to. This isn't, it's not like I said, this isn't a lock. People compare it to a lockout. It's not this. They know how to handle a lockout, if they come back and stuff. This is different. So this is health. This is people's lives that are at stake potentially, So it's going to be interesting to see how they do it. I don't, like I said, I'm not. If it's at risk for the players, that I'm cool with not seeing basketball. If players are uncomfortable, playing, I'm okay with that. Because you look, that's you. You're worrying about yourself, your family. I'm cool with that. And if we see top players, and it's gonna start if LeBron and AD and Giannis and all these top players, Mitchell and Gobert, those two guys, if they're not comfortable playing, we ain't gonna see basketball. It's just simple as that. And they might just have to scrap the season and just call it a wash. Unfortunately, we won't get to see if the Lakers try to win a championship, if it's going to be him versus Giannis. We won't get that chance, but it's health over everything, and that's the most important thing, no matter what. Because this virus attacks whether you're an elite athlete or whether you're a child. So we have to look at it that way. Like, these guys aren't immune, so we saw it. Gobert and all these guys get. And you would think these guys are top and top athletes. Their bodies are completely immune to all this, but they got they got it. KD got it. So
Exactly.
if they can get it, anyone can get it, and it's just it's unfortunate, but if it's at risk for the players and everything, it's not worth it. We could just wait until everything we get more testing and more vaccine, and see if we can get vaccines and stuff, and then just wait for the next season.
Yeah, and what's funny about it all is, like you said, and it's funny that you brought up that point about about the family aspect, because you think about it, there's going to be a dilemma, because it's like, are you willing to risk to bring your family with you, or leave your family? So it's just so much. I think people kind of fail to realize behind the scenes when you think about just the whole fact of, oh yeah, these guys should just play basketball just whatever. But I mean, these are guys who have families. Would you want to be I mean, not saying like Las Vegas, not like Las Vegas, Vegas.
Yeah.
But would I want to go, be away from my family for 2 months, and then not knowing what you're gonna come back to in 2 months?
Yeah.
Or if they gave you the option to bring in your family, do you want to put them in that environment? So right, so it's just like and that's one of the things where it's like, it's just not. I mean, to me, it's not worth it. I think the guys, NBA got it. They were lucky.
Yeah.
They were able to did that because, they were very, very lucky. To me, that was a sign right there. Like, and even with the Lakers versus the Brooklyn matchup, that was like the night before. And I was like, yeah, it was the night before. Matter of fact,
it was
before it happened, and a couple guys got, of course, and you did mention about KD, and yeah, him and a couple other guys got it in that game.
Yeah.
So just imagine if we didn't have that test for Rudy Gobert and just
played, and
right,
could have got the numbers could have got way worse, and maybe we have people dying, and if we don't catch in time, so that it's just, this is really risky. This is just, like I said, it's unprecedented times, and it's just Adam Silver has a tough decisions to make to see whether it's worth continuing the season, because health is priority number one, especially when you're dealing with a virus that you could be fine. Like, listen, there's people who have had it that are fine, and then there's people who get it and then they perish the next day, or in 2 days. So this is crazy. This is a crazy time, and they just got to get all the information and just make sure that they take the right precautions.
Absolutely. So ESPN had a list of their top basketball players of all time. So as our friend of the podcast, our resident New York Knicks guy, who are, we got Knicks thing going on. This is my go-to guy. Your top 10 Knicks players of all time.
That's tough. That's tough. For me personally, one is Patrick Ewing. That's my guy. I grew up with him. He's the heart of New York City. He's the heart of the New York Knicks. He just gritted it out for that decade where he went to 2 finals, and fortunately he didn't get to play. He was banged up for the Spurs finals and Game 7. John Starks doesn't start chucking and stuff. Maybe we're world champions. and the drought's not as big. But Pat's my number one. Uh, I guess I go Walt Frazier number two. He won 2 championships. He's a tremendous player. Willis Reed. Uh, I don't know if I'm gonna go in order. It's tough to put them in order.
Hey, it's
But
all good.
we got Willis Reed. We got Earl the Pearl Monroe. I'm gonna put Melo in there. I'm gonna put Melo in there because, he wasn't afraid to come here and try to do it, and try to get this thing rolling. And unfortunately, we just, Amari, injuries, didn't help. He got hurt right when Melo pretty much got there, and we can never get him stat right. And we had that year in 2012, 2013, we were the 2 seed, and Roy Hibbert block, it still haunts my mind. I'm Melo. Hasn't been the same since, but Melo did his thing here. He did as much as he could with, just how management has been, and how poorly they've ran this team throughout the years. Him and Porzingis could have possibly been something. That could have been something, and he just didn't put the pieces around Melo, and that's just unfortunate, man. But yeah, I'll put Melo in there. Dave DeBusschere. Another great. I love Allen Houston. I don't know if he's top 10, Nick, but Allen Houston. No, I'm not gonna say Jeremy Lin. No, it was a fun 2 weeks, Jay Lin, but Allen Houston, I love his form. I fell in love with his jump shot. That was great for. Who else we got in there? I love Chris Childs too.
Oh,
You know,
yeah,
I
yes.
obviously he's not a top 10 nickel time, but I'll give you guys I like. I love
Yeah,
Chris
like, yeah,
Childs.
that's cool. Yeah,
Chris
yeah,
Childs was one of my guys. He went head toe to toe with Kobe. That was him
yes,
and Kobe went at it. That was dope.
yes.
That was funny. But I always like Chris Childs. Charlie Ward too. Charlie Ward, 2 sport athlete. He was fun to watch growing up. And Oak was in that top 10, but Oak's been acting silly lately. He's
Oh,
been acting
okay.
silly lately. He's on something, man.
Yeah.
He's really, especially in New York, man. He went from being, one of the New York, and then lately he's been trashing Ewing and trashing the. It's okay to trash the Knicks
Yeah.
if we're not, but trashing Patrick Ewing, that's just wrong. That's just wrong. And he's fell off on a lot. And he did a local. We have a popular a podcast, like videos guy podcast, that guy that does a lot of Knicks stuff, and he had Oakley on the show. It's called Knicks Fan TV. Want to give him a shout out because they do great stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And he had him on the show, and man, Oak was on something. I think he was on the yak. I think he was on the yak because he was very combative and stuff. And it just feels like ever since that whole situation at the Garden a few years back, where everyone was on his side. Everybody was like, Dolan's wrong. We're gonna team Oakley, free Oakley. And then little by little, he's starting to make Dolan look like the right guy in the situation. And that's crazy to think that, Dolan can turn into be the good guy in this, and Oakley's the bad guy. But Oak's a legend in New York, regardless of that. But it sucks that everything's going on with him. But hopefully, we could turn that whole situation out. But I guess I put Oak on my 10. Those are my 10 Nick guys. I'm sure I'm missing a couple guys, but there's not a lot of guys recently to be worthy of that list. But those are the guys. But starting with Pat Ewing's number one for me. That's New York. That's Mr. New York Nick.
Yeah. So I gotta answer Jeff's question. So we asked, who's coach most disliked Nick? John Starks. Hands down. John Starks. I don't like that guy. I don't
some
like
Knicks,
that guy.
some Knicks still can't forgive him too. So
Right,
they
right,
can't forgive him
right.
from '94, man. It's not. It still hurts. It still hurts.
Big time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
man.
man. James Dolan. Good old boy, the JD in the straight shot. I'm
I
sorry.
could talk hours about
My
Mr.
bad.
Dolan, man.
Okay. Mr. You know what, Mr. Dolan?
Yeah.
That's crazy. JD in a straight shot. And you know what's so funny? Low key, it ain't that bad though. Call me crazy. It ain't that bad because you think to yourself, how you know how dry he is in a sense.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
not that bad. Like, and it was funny because I don't know if you remember when Jalen Rose and Bill Simmons used to do when they used to do like I used to do like NBA previews
Yeah, yeah,
because
yeah.
I had no idea that he did that. Like he was doing it, it was like yeah, he was like yeah, Mr. Dolan was just worried about his band, and they showed a clip. I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
what?
yeah. He used to, I
Yeah,
think he
man.
used to like open for like Billy Joel or something or
What?
someone big like that. Yeah, because he owns the Garden, and Billy Joel is like Billy Joel. I think has his own jersey up like in the rafters because he's
Are you
performed. I
kidding
think
me?
yeah, yeah. I could be wrong, but I know he's performed. I know he
What?
opened up for someone big like that. It's crazy.
Oh my god, my head is blown.
Yeah, yeah. He
Are you
opened up.
kidding?
Yeah. When you
Wow.
when you own the venue, you can do
You
whatever you
can,
want.
yeah. Yeah, you're right.
You know,
That's true. Yeah, when
when you
you're
own it,
right.
man.
If
If
you
I'm
can tell,
paying you to perform,
you're
let
right.
me at least open up.
I forgot this is the same guy who let Spike go two blocks down to go into another entrance.
And every day some, man. Every day some, but
And
it's
that's
crazy.
and I'm telling you, I shouldn't say this, but that's weird. Like how like all this stuff happened before before the corona before the season got suspended, and that was like one of the biggest news stories.
Yeah.
Like it's just crazy how in a week we went from talking about this incident to then the league actually being suspended. It's just crazy. Like this whole year, it's just been. It's just so like it's unprecedented, but it's just
Crazy,
strange of
man.
how all this changed so quickly because that was what the first week of March
Yeah, yeah.
when that happened,
That
and
was
then
only a
like
few games. I think we played Atlanta. I think the last game we played before the Corona was I think the Atlanta game, and that was the game.
yeah,
And then we played the Rockets that's when everything happened. The day after was that Rockets. That was probably a couple games before everything ended for us. So yeah, and then that game, R.J. Barrett showed out and played great at the end. He had a great game, and that it should have been more about so beating a Rockets team that's one of the best teams in the West, trying to win a
right.
championship, and R.J. Barrett did his thing, and we had a great game, and it wound up being about Spike Lee and the whole situation that got
And that,
way overblown. But of course, it's New York City, and
oh,
everything gets
no doubt.
overblown. So it's something that probably shouldn't even been an issue, became a huge
Right.
issue, and it of course ESPN and all these other networks blew it up and it didn't and instead of talking about RJ Barrett and his progression as a rookie, we're talking about crap like that, like Spike Lee getting kicked out and going to the wrong entrance. Like that's not really a story anywhere else, but it's a story with the Knicks because we've been trash. So when you
Yeah,
trash, you're gonna get more trash. So
that's true.
we have to figure out a way to change that culture and to be at least a respectable team. And so we'll see.
So another question I wanted to ask. I know this is something now. The percentage. I know you, and it's funny. I think one day you tweeted about Chris Paul going to the Knicks, and I'm like, I had to do a double take. The percentage of the likelihood of that happening.
If I had to say right now,
Mm-hmm.
uh, I give it like a 35% chance. I think it's definitely. It all depends on what Leon Rose's outlook is. Does he see? Does he see that being getting Chris Paul as something to help jumpstart the rebuild, as a piece that could help Mitchell? Because I've thought about this, that pick and roll with Mitchell Robinson with CP, how he can just put it in the right spot. That could be something good, and that'll just open up the rest of the floor. So that's been something. But if they don't do it, I'm cool with that too because he is older, and even though he's still balling out. But he's older. He's had a lot of injuries, and that's something that could worry someone, especially with the money he's still making. He's still got a lot on the books. So I could, I'll be cool if they don't. But if they do go after, it does show me that, you know, we want to win. We want to win, but we're not. But as long as they don't give up so many pieces and just like do like what they did with Melo and just trade away everyone just to get Melo and
Yeah.
realizing you gave away all your assets, you know, let's not do that type of stuff, you know. But I don't know what Leon Rose's mind is. I don't know if he's thinking, okay, you know, let's just keep going at it with drafting, you know, or because this team's not going to be good next year too. No matter who we draft, no matter if we get the number one pick and we take whoever, you know, we're still not going to be a very good team, you know. So it's if they do get CP3, I think I would be I'd be happy with that because it's someone, he's a leader. I think he can help with RJ Barrett. I think that's the most important thing is making sure RJ is takes that neck, keeps growing, and becomes a great player. I think every New York Knicks fans on the RJ Barrett train. We want him to be that guy for us to take us the way we thought Porzingis was going to be that guy, and just management kind of bumped and messed that up, you know. So it's going to be interesting to see. But right now, I would say, yeah, a little less than 40%, yeah, around 35% right now they're happening, but we'll see.
Wow. I got a culture martyr said, man, Perry gonna get traded.
Man,
Oh,
don't do that to me.
that's
Yeah, I just
negative.
saw that. No, no. The culture, man. No, if they do that, if
It's a wrap.
if they trade RJ Barrett, it better be to get someone like big top five player in the league. You know, it's got to be someone who's an MVP type player because Barrett's potential is still great. He had an up and down rookie year, but you know that he's going to be a good player. You know, he's a young kid. He's 19 years old. You know, so he's going to get better. But if they trade Barrett, then you think New York City hates Dolan now and stuff, man? They might, unless if it's for no one too. I don't see that happening. I hope not. But it's the Knicks, so you just never know. But I'll stay optimistic for now on that.
And I wanted to answer Jeff's question because Jeff was saying, why doesn't the top tier free agents come to New York? Just your thoughts on that one. I know we
It's simple. Winning. You're not winning. Last year, what they did was literally just do like what you do at 2K. You just tank, you get the number one pick, and you sign free agents. And they thought they played like this is NBA 2K. And guess what? That's not how it works in the NBA. And they had blind thoughts. They would just, all right, we trade Porzingis because we're gonna get KD and they spread you that. And like, okay, and so to have everyone thinking, okay, all right, we lost Porzingis, that sucks, but we're gonna get KD, we're gonna get Kyrie, and then we have a chance to get the number one pick, Zion, and then we can maybe flip Zion to get AD. Come on, man, you had every New York Knicks fan like this, this is a reality. We can have our big three. We can have AD, Kyrie, and KD. You have Knicks fans just drooling, and then little by little, you keep hearing things like, okay, and then it all starts with KD's injury. KD pops his Achilles, and then that's when you start hearing Kyrie wants to go to Brooklyn, and then the lottery happens, and we don't get the number one pick. We get the number 3 pick. That's a big difference. I love RJ. I wanted Zion. And even if we traded Zion to get Anthony Davis, man, I'm cool with it. The plan would have worked, but obviously the plan didn't work. And then you just start hearing rumblings that the Knicks don't want Kyrie, and KD's not coming here by himself. And then I hear stuff. I had a guy on Jonathan Macri on my podcast, and he's telling me none of this was going to happen. KD was never coming because you guys weren't winning. So they had this false information that KD was coming, Kyrie. And then meanwhile, they weren't going to get KD at all because the Knicks haven't shown any hope. At least the Nets, they showed they had D'Angelo Russell balling out. They made the playoffs. They have some good pieces, with Dinwiddie and Karis LeVert and Jared Allen, you know, and Joe Harris. They got guys that could really fit with Kyrie and KD, and the Knicks just had blind thoughts, and they just went at it just not thinking, and they screwed themselves, and they didn't have no plan B. You know, they went all in on plan A, and knowing that, not realizing that plan A isn't happening at all.
Nah.
You know, people are feeding you information that is just false, and they're taking that information and running with it, not knowing that it's just a dead end, and they screwed themselves. And then when KD and Kyrie go to Brooklyn, now you got no one, and there's no plan B, and you just sign guys. You just sign whoever who wants to play for the Knicks. Oh, all right, bet we'll give you 3 years, 75 million for Julius Randle. We'll give Bobby Portis $15 million, and it's that simple. It's just they messed this up from the minute they traded Porzingis and thought that it was going to lead Kevin, because I mean, you watched all the networks. They were saying KD was going to the Knicks. You know?
Yeah, which
is crazy, right? Rick Bucher said it. Stephen A. Smith said it. Everyone was saying it, and then, you know, they messed it up by just not winning. And then KD was like, "Nah, I'm not going there. You know, I can go to New York and just not have to deal with all that crap. I'll just go to Brooklyn." You know, and it's just simple as that. They messed up the whole thing, and that's bad management. And that starts with Dolan. He continues to hire the wrong people, because if you had the right people in place, they would have got the right information, and they would have told Dolan, tanking is actually going to hurt us big time. You know, tanking is going to hurt us. So let's try to win. Let's show Kevin Durant that we're trying to do something, and that we would have KD. Yeah, man, they had billboards and stuff for KD. They just handled it all wrong. You know, if they showed that they cared about winning instead of just tanking and thinking that was the way, maybe Kevin Durant's here. You know, so they botched the whole thing from Porzingis down, and it's shown. I mean, now we got no one. So it's a tough time being a Knicks fan. Devastated. I remember exactly where I was. I was sitting on the left side of my couch, watching the jump, and I just. You get the Woj, and you just, everything starts triggering, like he's going to the Nets, and I'm just waiting. I'm like, oh, he's going to the Nets. And then Rachel Nichols announced it. Kevin Durant just signed. No, Kyrie signs first, and then Kyrie signs, KD's next, and then they say KD, and you're just like, wow, we got no one, and it was devastating. First the lottery, then that. That's the toughest offseason I've ever had as being Knicks fan. I don't think anything will ever top that. It was tough,
man. It was
still tough.
And as a Bulls fan, it kind of reminded me of our free agency in 2000. When we struck out on Tracy McGrady, Grant Hill, Eddie Jones, all those guys. But yeah, man. So let's put a bow on this week's happy hour, man. Where can they find your social media?
Yes. Well, obviously, you can find me on Off the Ball Pod here. Off the Ball Pod, also on Twitter. Off the Ball Podcast. I'm on Facebook too. You can find the show Off the Ball Podcast. It's available on all podcast platforms. I'm on YouTube also. You can find me Off the Ball Podcast too. Working on a website that's under construction right now, so I'll have that up hopefully this week. I'm looking forward to that, and also getting some. Also working on merchandise too, so just a lot of things going on. Got 2 podcasts tomorrow. I'll have that up there in the week. So just a busy week, and just grinding, man. Just doing what you're doing too, brother.
Hey, man.
It's a podcast where it's a grind, man, but it's fun, man. I wouldn't want it. It's so much fun, man.
Yeah, I tell you, with everything going on now, I swear it's like it's silver lining. I think where it's one of the things where it's like you kind of took advantage of, took for granted certain things. Oh, yeah, I get it back going in the next few weeks or whatever, this and third. You never know. And that's one thing, too, where, like, I think we was on a thread the other day. Somebody was like, for advice, stay consistent.
Yes,
Put
consistency,
your brand up there.
Man.
And you know what? put it out there every day. If somebody's annoyed, who gives a damn? It's
That's
your
what it's
brand.
about, man. Put your
They can
content.
defriend you.
Yeah,
They can unfriend you if they want.
exactly. If they don't like you, they can unfriend you. They can unfollow you.
Exactly.
They can block you on Twitter. Whatever. It don't matter. So
Right.
in order, just knowing from doing this, I've been going hard at this since December. I started this a year ago, and I wasn't consistent the first 4 months of it. I would do one show and then take 2 months off because I just wasn't. I wasn't. I was like, I don't know if everybody cares about what I say. I think that we all go through that. Like, people care what we say, and then you just gotta, if you really have a passion for this, you just do it and you just go
Yep.
at it, and then. If you put the time into it, you put the work into it, little by little, it grows. And you've seen growth in
Yeah.
your show, your social media. I've seen growth in my show and
Mm-hmm.
social media and all that. And being engaging is the number one thing. Be engaged. Talk about topics. What doesn't matter
Right.
what genre you are. For us it's sports, but we talk football, we talk baseball, basketball, whatever's going on, whatever genre you're on. Just keep talking, and you'll find people who you network. Listen, you're one of my first guests. You're one of my first guests on the show. You were Jay, Jay
Yeah.
Stevens, who's another dope content creator.
Yes. Yes, indeed.
So and that's how we met, and that trickles down. We keep growing, we keep networking other guys, and we help each other. We have the same people on our shows,
Mhm.
so it's all about just keep pushing out content, as much content as possible. And if people like it, people like it. If they don't, they don't. Just don't get discouraged too. People get discouraged.
Right.
Just keep posting, be engaging, network. Don't be afraid to reach out to guests. And if they say no, if they don't answer you, man, I've sent out so many. I'm sure you have too. I've
Oh
sent out
yes.
emails and not gotten a single reply, and yet I've gotten some people I've hit up and that I've never thought that would answer, and they've been on the show. So it's just grinding and just going out there and just doing what you can, and everything eventually with time. Just it's like everything. Anything with time, with repetition,
Hmm.
will come into
Yes.
fruition.
And that's funny because I was going into that little phase, and it's weird. Like, and I've been doing it for almost. I mean, essentially, I've been almost doing it for almost 10 years, like
Yeah, it's
back and
crazy. That's
forth.
all. Yeah,
And it gets to a point, like you said, and it was weird. And it's funny how you bring up that point because it was like January, right around January. I was kind of like, because in 2019 I was really inconsistent. I mean, I had an
yeah.
episode I want to say in September, then I picked it back up in November, and then
Same
like
thing. Yeah,
November
yeah,
was kind of, and then when it was going on shows, like going on your show, because we did the show, it was like 2 days after Kobe passed away, and I remember
yeah,
that
yeah, yeah. It was around that
that
time.
was
Yeah,
one of the things, and then that, and then going on other people's shows, and definitely like Jeff just said, he said we both inspired him, and he inspired me too because in the sense Jeff, he invited me on this show. It is weird. I really don't go on a lot of shows, but that was another thing. I was cool, and it was funny because I felt like a kid at a candy store. Like
yeah, yeah,
when
yeah,
it was funny because I remember when he said I'm gonna have a pregame show for the Last Dance, and I put me with like 20,000 exclamation marks.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
I was ready. And, I was like, man, 6 o'clock. I hit that stream at 5:55. I was
yeah,
ready.
yeah, yeah.
And the thing about it, and just being around people, and I think too, where it's just being around people who enjoy the ride with you as well. That's
Exactly.
another thing too, where it helps you, because sometimes in a sense, and it's like probably in the beginning, the beginning stage when I developed Couch Coach Live, I wouldn't say I felt alone. I felt alone outside of at that time I had two co-hosts. But the outside world, I just felt like I felt like I was an outsider, outside of the confines of that, and just networking, like you said, networking, and just keep grinding.
That's it, man. That's it. And help
Yes,
each other, man. I
yes,
think that's one thing people don't do is help each other. I think everyone tries to
yeah,
make competition, but I don't see it that way. If you need help, I'll try to help you. You can help me. I've learned from you. I've learned from
yeah,
Jeff. I've learned from
yeah.
so
Me
many
too.
other podcasters from networking that it's helped me improve the show that much better. So I think helping people also is so important too. And just the fact that, and also when someone tells you that you don't even know, that hits you up and says, yo, I love your show. What you talked about was great. That's, even if it's just one person, it's like, oh man, then it was worth it. It was worth it. No, it's crazy. It's
Yes,
worth it that one person could be like, yo, that was dope. You talked about this, and I'm like, oh wow, oh thank you. And then sometimes you're like, wow, I got a fan. That's not my mom or something like crazy like that. Yeah,
Right.
yeah. So it makes you feel good that like okay, all right, then it's worth it. Then this is definitely worth putting all that time because like I said, you're solo, I'm solo. It's a lot of work. I'm doing 5 shows this week, and I usually probably do one or
Nice.
two. But
Mm-hmm.
people want to come on the show. And that's
Right.
crazy, when people want to come
Mm-hmm.
to your show and you're like, okay, all right, I guess I could do 2 in one day. And it's like, it's a lot of work, but
Right.
you know what? People are asking me to come to my show and people want listening to my show, man, then it's like, all right, I'll do it. It's just because it's worth it. Because like I said, when people show love,
I know.
it's awesome. It's pretty dope.
It's I know, and it's like it's not weird, but it trips you out because
Yeah.
I like when I was on Jeff's show 2 weeks ago, he's like, man, I like that point that you made on the podcast. I'm like, who, me?
Yeah, man.
Like,
Jeff's been
yes, very
a
supportive.
big supporter of the show. I had
Yes,
him on
big
2 days
time,
ago, and I appreciate him a lot. He
big time.
listens to a lot of shows, and like I said,
Yep.
he's just a supporter. He talked a lot of good things about you too, because I had mentioned him
Yeah.
too that you were one of my first guests, and he said, yeah, I just
Yeah.
had him on the show too. So
Yeah.
he's definitely he's definitely been a big supporter of the show, which is awesome.
Yeah, man. It's just great. And like and honestly, it's about content. It ain't about that's one thing I learned. And that's one thing too. I think when you evolve, you really realize the real what's the gist of it.
Yeah.
It's about content, putting content out there and see who likes it. Like I've been doing the IG lives, which I think I'm gonna do that a lot more now.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, this
Content.
works.
It's
I'm
about
probably gonna start
content.
doing RJ Live more too,
I
for
love
sure.
yeah, and I like this. I like this format because definitely our guy Pat Say It Out Loud Sports. The Jock collab or Jeff collab. I know Jeff collab. I don't know if it was you. That was Jeff.
Yeah,
Jeff
yeah, yeah.
collab with from Pat from Say It Out Loud Sports, and we did one last week and it was great. I mean, it was cool and man, it's yeah. And hey, man, and like I said, hey, y'all, anybody needs me, I'm available, man.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah,
Always.
yeah.
I'm always gonna be available, and always here,
That's
man.
crazy. It's crazy to think that
Yes, sir.
people reach out to us to ask for help,
Right,
advice. I've had a few people hit me up like, "Yo, how do I start? How do I build up my audience and stuff?" And I'm like, "Listen, I'm not gonna say I have a crazy
right,
amount of followers, but I have a solid, a decent amount of followers." And I'm like, oh, "This is what you do. You just
yeah,
gotta engagement. Just do a lot of these little IG lives and question and do polls and just do a
mm-hmm.
whole bunch. Just be engaging and
Experiment.
just experiment. Do what makes you feel comfortable and see if that works.
Yep.
And it's just that simple. Just go at it. Some people don't like doing IG, and people don't like going on Twitter a lot. But just you got to do. If you want the show to grow,
Gotta
you got to
do it.
be able to be comfortable to get out of that bubble and be engaging on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and go network with people and don't be afraid to get told no or not even be told anything and just get
Right,
ignored and that's okay. That's a whole part of the grind. That's a whole part of learning. You
perfect.
know.
Right,
So it's like I said,
perfect.
it's work, but hey, like you said, once you get people hitting you up, like we said before, once you get people hitting you
It's
up and
worth
say
it.
you got a dope show, then it's all worth it,
Yes,
and you know that you've done something good.
you're right.
Yeah.
I know,
So
and like you said, it freaks me out because like you said, people ask me advice. I remember 10 years and I was like, oh man, I wanted to do radio. And
yeah,
the guy was like, all you gotta do is put a mic in the computer. And I'm like,
it's that
no
simple.
way.
It's that simple.
Right.
You
And
just
it's
get
just so
a.
crazy. Right.
It's so simple,
And it
bro.
and it trips me out that essentially I was so scared of that. And then like
Petrified.
you said, people right,
Petrified.
and it trips me out, but it's just one of those things where it's just like it just shows you proof that once you take yourself out of the comfort zone,
It's all about
endless
comfort.
possibilities.
It's all about
I mean, I
comfort.
can if when the guy told me about because that's like man, how you know I like sports, I like talking about sports. And this was like 2009.
Yeah.
He's like, all you need is your computer and a microphone. And
That's
I was
it.
like, huh? That's
It's
it.
that simple with that first. At first, that's
And of
all
course,
you
man,
need.
right, and of course, it took me a few years to kind of get out of that shell, and of course,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's crazy.
It's
But yeah,
crazy, man. I mean, I still have
yeah,
my mic that the first I bought like a little $14 mic on Amazon. That
for
probably was
real.
it wasn't a great mic, but it was like,
Yeah,
all right,
it
I gotta
ain't.
start. So I still have it somewhere. I gotta find it. I got it right here. Still got the little mic. This little
Yep.
thing. It's not that
Hey,
great. And then now I've upgraded to I got a whole bunch of mics now, and I got an audio board, and I got software, and
exactly.
I've grown to I got a sponsorship. Not nothing
Right.
crazy, but to get a sponsor,
Hey,
a slow sponsorship where you can make a little bit of money, possibly.
right.
I
And that's the
mean,
thing.
it shows that with time and with hard work that
Right.
anything's possible. Anything's
Anything is
possible,
possible.
man. So it's all about grinding and put it in the time and getting out of that
Yep.
comfort zone. Because I know when my first show, I remember like, no, that's not good. No, I don't like how my voice looks.
Who
No,
you
that sounds
telling, right?
terrible. I probably did like 20 takes, and I'm like, nah, I'm not doing this. Forget it.
Yeah.
You just keep going, and then you just get in that comfort, and you just go at it, and it's now I'm like, oh, I got my go-to start of the show, and then you grow as a host. That's another thing, is growing as a host too.
Yep.
Knowing when to
Exactly.
transition into
Yep.
takes. Knowing not to have too many pauses. Because sometimes you can
Yep.
you can get paused, and you're like, oh shit. But preparation.
Right.
Preparation is key,
Ex-
man. Preparation is very key. If you're not prepared, then you're gonna have a lot of times where you're just pausing and you don't know what the hell you're doing. And it's gonna sound
exactly.
bad, and people are not gonna like that. People don't like when you don't. Yeah, see, I
These
got.
have been my best
Yeah,
friends
man. Look,
since day
I
one.
got books for days, bro. I got
Yes,
books for days, so it's.
I keep a steno pad and an ink pen on me at all
Yep.
times
When I go to
because I
work, I
just
got a
jot
pad
stuff
too. Yeah,
down.
always at work,
Yeah,
I'm jotting
man.
stuff down. There's always something. There's always something that pops up. So that's
Yeah,
just the
man.
grind, man. And you're doing your
Yeah,
thing, and that's dope, man. I'm rooting for you 100%. Like I said, you're one of my
me
first
too.
guests, so I've always made
Yes,
sure to
sir.
keep it and always
Oh yeah,
support your stuff. So I know
absolutely.
you're killing it. So I salute to
You
you,
know
man.
me.
Yeah, man, for sure.
Even though the Bulls and the Knicks was a heated rival, but it's the 2020s. We we it's the rivalry is dead at this point.
Yeah, man. It's unfortunately it's
Like
unfortunately irrelevant
yeah,
nowadays.
it's very relevant. Like a Bulls and a Knicks fan can definitely coexist in the 2020s,
Yeah,
no
because
doubt.
there's a lot of pain. There's a lot of pain going on with those two franchises.
Exactly. But yeah, man. Any church announcements for the podcast? Anything that's going on that you want to talk about? As far as anything cooking.
Like I said, I got two shows for tomorrow that I'll probably drop. I'll drop them, sometime next week, and then I can't say his name because he's got a really weird, really tough name to announce. But I got a guy who's preparing for the NBA draft, and he went to FIU, and he was a shot blocking leader in college basketball. So I'll have him on the show Wednesday. So I'm looking forward to that, talking about him, about the draft process, and where he sees himself going. If he thinks he's going to get drafted and stuff. How he's dealing with everything, and how he's dealing with everything going on, and as far as contacting teams and teams talking to him. So that's going to be dope on Wednesday. I'll have more posted as the week goes on. I can't remember his name. His name is really. I couldn't even say his name right now. I can't I'll butcher it. But he plays for FIU. He's a big man.
Yeah.
He's an intriguing prospect for sure. He's a big boy. He's like 6'10", 245. Just like he led the country in blocks. So he's that's definitely I'm looking forward to that show. And maybe I got some dope guests down the line that I'm working on too. So like I said, just grinding, man. Just trying to put out good
Yes.
content, and that's it.
Yeah. No doubt. Yeah. You know what, Jeff? I'm gonna take you up on your offer. I'll be there on Sunday if need be. I'll definitely be there.
Pre-game, yeah, I think I might have to do the pre-game with y'all guys. I think
Yeah.
that's something we got to do.
Yeah. And definitely appreciate you, Chris, for stopping by.
No
Once
doubt, bro.
again, man, Off the Ball podcast, man. We'll see you down the road, man. Keep grinding,
Yeah,
brother.
for sure, man. We definitely got to talk. We definitely got to have you back on the show for sure, so we can chop it up.
Absolutely.
Yup.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, man.